Hi, I'm Liv and welcome back to the Book Nook. Hey guys, so it's time for a good old-fashioned haul. May, it was big. April. I clearly have no concept of time. All day, when I've been filming all these videos in one go, not pretending, I have been writing down what I've got to film, and every time I've written May haul, May wrap up. Not even finished. April. This is my April haul. Okay, let's get cracking. No, cracking. So the first book I got in April was a little supermarket purchase, and that is Later by Stephen King. This is one of the sort of like crime ones, I believe. But in true Stephen King fashion, it's not just like a crime novel. The kid has supernatural abilities, because of course he does. Next up, I purchased myself a copy of The Employees by Olga Raven. This is on the Booker International Prize shortlist. It has a very shiny cover. A lot of the others I have on Kindle, and I'm really excited to give this one a go. I remember seeing about this one on the Lolly Editions, who published this one on their Instagram yonks ago, and was really intrigued. And I will confess I waited for the bandwagon before I got it, didn't I? And it's really interesting to me to see a sci-fi type novel on the Booker International shortlist, so very excited about that. Next up is a copy of a book published by Salt Publishing, and that is Melissa by Jonathan Taylor. This is one I saw of somebody, and again, my brain has kindly not remembered the information of who it was, talking about it on Twitter. Now this is apparently based on a true story that after a death of a girl in a small village, everybody experiences the same kind of musical hallucination. Sounds really interesting. Apparently it like weaves together fiction and non-fiction, and it just sounded really interesting from, I've said really too many times, words lost all meaning. Sounded very interesting from the tweets I saw about it, so I got myself a copy, and there's that. Next up is a book that I saw Lucy Holland of Sister Song authorship, which is a book I thoroughly recommend. You can check that out in my April wrap-up. I saw her tweeting about this one. Nope, saw her Instagramming about it. Yep, that's a verb now. Here we go. And that is a copy of Ursula K. Le Guin's version of the Tao Te Ching. And I'm just really intrigued by this. It's a slim little volume, and apparently Le Guin was really into this and studied on it, wrote about it loads, and this is her kind of translation of it. So just really intrigued. Then another little slim one I picked up after I saw Lauren in the books. I picked up her copy of it, and I thought, yes, absolutely. And that is Amanda Gorman's The Hill We Climb. So this is the poem that she read at Joe Biden's inauguration, which was just amazing, and it's an amazing little volume of it, and I'm very excited to spend some time and contemplate. Next up is a book which I mentioned briefly, can't talk, been doing this too much, briefly in my birthday bestsellers, oh my gosh, birthday bestsellers TBR list, and that is Women Who Run With Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And this is one that has kind of been like a classic of like self-helpy, spiritually type stuff, and I just thought it sounded intriguing and hippy-dippy enough that I thought I would give it a go, and it's got a wolf on the cover and it's got wolf in the title, and I like wolves. Ow. Next up I picked up a copy of a book which I already have in hardback because I am a sucker for doing the whole hardback to paperback thing. It's a copy of Ellie Williams' The Lies Dictionary. I have been naughty and still not read this yet. I think there is a part of me that loved Attrib and Other Stories so much that I'm hesitant to read Ellie's novel in case I don't love it as much, which is stupid, so I am gonna read this soon. And another hardback to paperback thing, and this is because the hardback I find too unwieldy, and I'm going through a bit of a change in my relationship to hardback and paperbacks, but I picked up a paperback copy of Shuggie Bain. So this is the winner of the 2020 Booker Prize, and it's about a young boy in Glasgow, and it's meant to be very moving, and I just fancy reading the paperback rather than the brick of a hardback. Next up is a book that I saw Simon over at Savage Reads talking about on his channel to do with his book club, and it's one that I know my mum wants for her book club, so I thought I'm going to read it as well, and that is I Am an Island by Tamsin Kalidas. This is a non-fiction book about a woman who, her and her husband are disillusioned with London. They move to Scotland hoping it's basically going to kind of fix their problems, but it doesn't, alas. As someone who has always dreamt of running away to the Scottish Highlands in order to escape her problems, this should be fun. Then I picked up a copy of a book on a whim when I was in a garden centre, and a couple of times I've been to local garden centres to look at more houseplants that I definitely don't need, and I've toyed with this one, and this time me and my mum went on a trip to a garden centre to look at actual garden stuff for planning the new garden, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And this is a book called The Wren Hunt by Mary Watson. I don't really know much about it, if I'm honest. It's about a girl who, she's an augur, and these boys chase her in like a warped version of a childhood game, but she's also secretly an intern in the Harkness Foundation. I don't know, it just sounds kind of cool. As an enmity between two ancient magics reaches breaking point, Ren is torn between old loyalties and new lies, and trapped in the most dangerous game of her life. It just sounds like YA fantasy type thing, and the cover is gorgeous, to be fair. Also from the garden centre, not a book, but bookish, something I picked up thinking I would give it to someone as a birthday card, but decided to keep it for myself, and that's this card, which you're not going to be able to see, but it says, "There's no such thing as too many books, and look at all the books, so I think I'm gonna put this in a little frame on my bookshelf." Next up, I picked up a copy of a book which is definitely on the shortlist that doesn't exist for the most gorgeous book of the year, and that's This One Sky Day by Leonie Ross. Look at that lovely cover. So the only Leonie Ross I have read is her short story that was featured in Outsider's anthology, edited by Alice Slater, which I have talked about before, and I thoroughly recommend you get your hands on a copy, and I really enjoyed it, and I've been hearing about this novel for a long time. So I think its other name, or it's been published somewhere else as Poppy Show, and it sounds like it's got like fantasy elements. It's set in an island archipelago group of islands, and there's some sort of magical powers going on. There are some star-crossed lovers, and it just sounds gorgeous. I've read a few pages of it when I picked it up just because it was so gorgeous, and I had to stop myself because I was like, no, I'm in the middle of a book at the moment and I don't want to get confused, but the prose is already lush and I'm very, very excited. Then the kind folks at Manila Press sent me a copy of Snowflake by Louise Neal, and this is one I've seen talks about. It's about a young girl who sort of lives a fairly sort of rural life, and then she goes to Trinity College Dublin, and it's one that I'm potentially a little bit nervous about because of the whole youthful narrators thing, but it's meant to have shades of Sally Rooney. I don't know whether that's just an Irish writer writing about young people kind of aspersion, but I'm very excited to read this eventually. Give it a go. Then here we go again, another hardback to paperback thingy-mabob. Strange Hotel by Emma McBride. Love, love, love Girl Is a Half One Thing. Love, love, love Lesser Bohemians. Very excited to love, love, love this one. It's another one where I've been naughty, got the hardback, not read it. Again, possibly putting off because I love her writing so much. But this paperback is gorgeous, so done it. It happened. Then I realised I hadn't picked up a graphic novel for a couple of weeks. So I picked up a copy of The Wilds. Now the link with this one is that the cover is done by Natasha Alterici, who's done the covers for Heathen, so that's how I kind of got to hear about this one. And it's set in a post-apocalyptic sort of plague-ridden world, so, you know, nice and escapist. And it's about a girl who is a runner between sort of compounds and societies that have risen up of survivors. So just sounded cool. Then I picked up a copy of a book in paperback that I meant to pick up in hardback but never did, and that's Olivia Lang's Funny Weather. This is a collection of essays about art, and I just fancied it when it was out in hardback and never got around to spending on it, so paperback's out, it's mine. Then lastly, a couple of supermarket purchases. I got myself a copy of Dawn French's Because of You. This was long listed for the Women's Prize, not shortlisted but long listed, and I've just heard that it's actually, I've heard the words surprisingly good, which is interesting, so I just fancied something that was a little bit sort of an easier read. I don't know, whole thing about, but yeah, just decided it sounded like a nice little read. It's also one that I know I can pass on to my mum when I'm done, so gonna give that a go when I fancy something a little bit more sort of light-hearted, or not necessarily light-hearted, but maybe a bit of a lighter read. And another supermarket purchase, and another one that I meant to get in hardback but didn't, and that is Diary of a Young Naturalist by Dara McNulty. So it's about Dara McNulty, who's a young autistic teenager coping with sort of like the uprooting of his life as he's going to high school and his relationship with the natural world, and by all accounts it is meant to be beautiful. So I am very excited to spend some time with this, particularly as the weather gets a bit nicer. It feels like one to sort of take on a little walk with me and read while I'm out and about. So that's an unwieldy stack of books that I got this month. Thumbnail's going to be fun. I suppose I should actually also include Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, which I did buy the physical copies of. Didn't show them in the last video, but I did buy the physical copies of, and now I've put them away on the shelf and I can't be bothered to go get them again, but here they are, and I bought them too this month. So those are all the books that I purchased in April. As per the usual, have a little chat with me in the comments down below about any of these books. Have you read any? Are you interested in any? And so on and so forth. I've done 3 videos in a row now. I'm all talked out. My brain's fried. I've got therapy in half an hour. I need to go and have not another coffee. A lie down. No, bad idea. I don't know, maybe I'll go and run around the garden screaming for half an hour just to get some of this excess energy off. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.